Let's talk about stocks today. In today's video, we're discussing one of my top stock market picks for 2023. And that stock, it's ExxonMobil, ticker symbol XOM. In this video, you're also gonna get a chance to pick my brain to learn how to become a better investor. You can see what I do and why. So first, I wanna say this. I do not expect, I'm being honest here, I don't expect that this video is gonna get a lot of views. That's fine with me because this video, it's not for the views or for the YouTube algorithm. YouTube, I mean, just think about it. They're not gonna push a video about ExxonMobil or oil because that's not sexy. But honestly, I don't care because this video is for the people. A lot of people have been asking me questions about oil and Exxon, and I wanna address them in this video. So here are the top 5 questions that I've been seeing in my comments. The first one is, Exxon has gone up a lot, so won't it come back down? The second question is, isn't the recession going to crush oil demand and consequently hurt oil stocks? The third question is, isn't clean tech and green energy, so aren't those going to replace oil? The fourth question is, why do you like Exxon? You know, there's a lot of oil plays out there, so why do you like Exxon so much? The fifth one is, when will it be a good time to sell ExxonMobil? So those are all good questions, and I'm gonna give you very good answers. So I know that a lot of people here watching, they bought Exxon in 2020 and 2021 because of my previous videos. So I just wanna say I'm very happy for you and congratulations. In 2022, Exxon went up 72%. The S&P went down 18%, so we did good. So I want to show you my logic so you can see how I do things, what my approach is. The reason why I said that you should buy Exxon in 2020, it was because of the oil prices. The futures contracts, they went into negative territory. So my strategy in the stock market, it's very straightforward. It's buy low and sell high. So I'm not saying that to be cute or funny. And there's a lot of people such as momentum traders. They're gonna buy high and sell higher. And that works out for, some of those people. My style, it's more value investing. It's buy low, sell high. So listen, when oil prices went negative, I mean, just saying that just sounds ridiculous. It makes me chuckle because that's so ridiculous. When oil prices went negative, I thought to myself that that doesn't appear to be sustainable to me. And additionally, how much more downside risk can there be if oil prices are negative? So I bought Exxon. It was just a no-brainer to me. It's been almost 3 years. So we didn't make this money overnight. It took years to pan out, and the patience, it paid off. It's up 214%. I believe that there is more upside in 2023, which you'll fully understand by the time that we're done here. So let's knock out the first question. So isn't clean tech and green energy going to replace oil? So my answer is no, of course not anytime soon. So I want you to be educated. Human civilization is built upon energy. So without energy, we wouldn't have this modernization. We wouldn't have the capability of supporting this current population. So we as a species, we need energy. So I hope we can agree on that, right? The human population, it's continuing to grow, and therefore we need more energy now than ever before. So this is gonna tie in with oil and Exxon, you'll see. So you may have heard of the demographics problems in developed countries, and that's all true. The demographics problems in China, Japan, Russia, Europe, people are having less kids. However, that is a problem in developed countries. That is not the same story in developing countries. So for example, birth rates are exploding higher in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's just one of many examples. So do you know anything about that country? So if you don't know anything, let me tell you one thing. Their population is over 90 million people, and their birth rates are exploding. 90 million people, that's more people than in Texas, California, and New York combined. Take a look at Uganda. Birth rates are shooting higher, population explosion. They have 48 million people. Long story short, Global population is currently at 8 billion people. The United Nations expects the human population to peak in the 2080s at 10.4 billion people. So more people, that's going to mean we're going to need more energy. So plain and simple. But we have clean tech, we have green energy. Isn't that going to kill the oil and gas industry? Absolutely not, at least not in our lifetime. As the population grows, we need more energy. So newer forms of energy, so clean tech, green energy, that does not replace the older forms of energy. The newer forms of energy, you could think of it as acting as an additional layer on top of the previous forms of energy. You could think of it as an additional layer that's meeting the new demands. So for example, guess how much coal that we use today? Yes, coal, the dirtiest form of energy. We use more coal today than we have ever in the history of humanity. So look it up for yourself, educate yourself. Those are known, this is a known fact. So the Energy Information Administration states that 22% of US electricity generation comes from coal. So that percentage, it may be coming down in the US, but the actual amount, it's going up internationally. India expects their coal demand to continue growing for at least 12 more years. So once they plateau, the demand for coal, it's probably going to be picked up by other developing countries. China, they're going to be using more coal for the next 10 years at a minimum. So listen, the fact is that global coal usage, it went up by 1.2% in 2022, surpassing 8 billion tons. That's the highest in human history. And just so you know, we have enough coal to last 300 to 400 years at a minimum. So please get the fallacy out of your head. Renewables, they're not going to replace oil or gas or coal, and at least not anytime soon. It's more of a question of, can renewables keep up with the increasing demands? So you have to understand that demand for oil, it's higher now than it's ever been before. So when is oil demand, when is it going to peak? Some people are saying that oil demand is going to peak in the 2040s. Other people are saying it's going to happen in the 2050s. In my opinion, my opinion is who cares? Because we're talking about the price of EXXON stock in 2023. What difference does it make to the discussion if oil demand peaks in the 2040s or 2050s or 2080s? Like, well, who cares? So what's important to this discussion is that in 2023, oil demand will grow by approximately 1.7% to 104 million barrels a day. That's coming from the International Energy Agency. So bottom line is that the world needs more oil in 2023 and probably in 2024. So I'm just saying for the foreseeable future. Another good question is the recession and oil demand. So I don't know how you want to see this, whether you want to say that we're currently in a recession and it's going to get worse, or if we're going to enter into a recession in 2023. Regardless, let's just say that the economy is going to get worse, and won't this hurt oil demands? My answer to that is not really, not by much. It's not gonna, at least it's not going to kill oil demand. It's not like it's going to be a dagger to the heart. It's going to be more like a spitball. I'll just say this, during COVID, when most of the entire developed world was locked down practically, oil demand fell by 8%. So 8%, but I don't think that anybody here is expecting a replay of that type of scenario, at least anytime soon. So I want you to know this. During the Great Recession, oil demand fell by 1%. Even if you lose your job, you're still gonna eat, which is all brought to you by a supply chain built off diesel fuel. You're still gonna use electricity primarily generated by hydrocarbons, and you're still gonna drive, most likely using gasoline or a Tesla powered by electricity generated from hydrocarbons. So listen, even if you lose your job, it's not like you're suddenly gonna become carbon neutral. Recessions decrease oil demand by 1 to 3% on average. So would it hurt oil demand? Yeah, of course. It would hurt oil demand by 1 to 3% on average, but it wouldn't be the end of oil. So that's demand. Now let's take a look at supply. Russia's oil output, it's projected to fall by 1.4 million barrels a day. Even if they didn't have a production decline, the embargoes that the embargo, I mean, they're not allowing oil to get to where they need to get to, at least not in the most efficient, cost-effective manner. So there's no morality behind that statement. That's a supply chain fact, and it is what it is. And that has consequences on oil prices. And then you have OPEC. So you think that OPEC has the people's best interest at heart? How about OPEC Plus? So you think it's in their best interest to pump as much oil as possible to bring down oil prices? Like, why would they do that? Why would they create a self-inflicted wound? So flipping back to demand, you have China. You have China and their COVID situation. Right now in China, oil demand has contracted by 400,000 barrels a day. When they recover in a few months, the situation will reverse, and that's going to put upward pressure on oil prices. So, okay, you have recessionary talks as downward pressure acting on oil, right? But that's being counterbalanced by upward pressure from supply chain problems, Russia, more demand coming from China, and OPEC. And just naturally, you have the growing human population and modernization that all requires more energy, which is going to require more oil. So I hope that answers your question about oil and recessions. Next question. This is a very good question. Why do I like EXXON? So I understand there's a lot of other oil plays out there that, if you think oil is going to go up, you could put your money in different oil equities. You could buy the commodity outright. There's so many oil plays. So why EXXON? Is this video sponsored by EXXON? The answer is absolutely not. No, it's not sponsored by EXXON. This video is not sponsored by EXXON or FTX or Established Titles or BlockFi. I'm saying I like EXXON because I think the price of EXXON stock is going to go up. So it's nothing more, nothing less. I'm just being a straight shooter. It's just, you could think of this as like my personal diary, and I'm telling you what I think. So oil is trading at $80 a barrel. That's WTI. Brent crude, that's around 85 to 86 a barrel. I want you to know this. EXXON breaks even when oil is at $40 a barrel. That means that right now, even though the oil prices have come off their highs, EXXON right now is still a cash cow. But it gets better. So if you didn't know, there have been huge oil discoveries in offshore Guyana. So that's southeast of Puerto Rico, that's east of Venezuela. So EXXON, they're going to be the biggest winner from this, and it's only going to accelerate in 2023. People don't talk about this much. I think a lot of it is that a lot of people, they're just unaware. So EXXON is operating 6.6 million acres over there. They made their first big discovery over there in 2015. They had another major breakthrough discovery in October of 2022. There's an estimated 11 billion barrels over there. EXXON has started production there. They're currently producing 360,000 barrels a day, and it's accelerating fast. The plan is to drill 60 wells in the next 6 years. 35 of them are expected to come online in the third quarter of 2023. So they're moving fast. But it gets better. The oil over there, it is high quality. It's light and sweet. That means it has a lower sulfur content. That's important because that means that oil, it's cheaper to refine. The oil wells over there, they break even when oil is at $25 to $32 a barrel. In other words, that oil, that is extremely profitable. EXXON's overall break-even point, it's at $40 a barrel. That's at a company level. So it's going to fall into the 30-something range. It's just going to improve over time as more oil comes from that location. But it gets even better. EXXON has secured favorable production sharing agreements with Guyana. So I hope you know this. But listen, that's what's coming online. But even without that new production, EXXON is such a solid company. EXXON made $19.7 billion in profit last quarter alone. They raised their dividend. They raised their dividend for 40 years straight now. They've increased their share buybacks by $20 billion to 2024. It's now $50 billion instead of $30 billion. And their PE ratio, it's at 9. And their forward PE ratio, it's at 8. To me, this is nuts. So I want you to know this, and to give you context, I think most people here already know this. I got in an EXXON around $35 a share. But I'm looking at these stats, I'm looking at their future, basically what I told you. I'm looking at the supply and demand imbalances in 2023, and I'm gonna hold my EXXON stock because I think that there's plenty of upside from here. So people ask me, okay, Brian, when are you gonna sell the EXXONs? You're gonna have to sell it sooner or later, right? So I don't believe that I'm being greedy here because I bought it at 35, it's around 110 a share. I don't think I'm being greedy. I'm fully aware of the saying, you know, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. With EXXON, I'm not trying to go for a moonshot. I'm not trying to make a 3,000% ROI. I'm just saying that I believe there's more upside. I think the risk to reward, that scenario, it's still attractive. So let me give you more, let me answer the question. So I do not have a price target on when to sell. I don't have a specific price point. To me, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. For example, I don't believe that you should say, oh, I'm going to sell EXXON when it hits $140 a share. I don't think that's the right approach. Sometimes that's the right approach, but to me in this situation, I don't think so. I'm going to sell when the P ratio or the forward P ratio, it gets too high to historical levels or compared to peers, or if the price of oil just spikes too high, maybe if Brent gets to 125 to 150 a barrel, and it would be staggered exits. If oil spikes, I would look to sell the EXXON stock on overbought conditions and try to re-enter when oil retracts. So I want to end by saying this. I like to believe that I have a logical style of investing. I mean, I believe that I'm just practicing common sense. If you enjoyed this content, then please, I encourage you to please come visit us on our Patreon website. We have exclusive content over there on stocks and cryptos. It's awesome, and I invite you to join us. Thank you for all the support, and wish you a very nice day. Please take care.